Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for being here today. Today we are using some recycled items because I recently got this in the mail and this is just one of those inspiring kind of, I think I can use that pieces. So it was obviously used as packaging to protect the items inside. And so it's a nice long beautiful continuous piece which I was excited about when I got it and I couldn't resist, so I popped it in my craft space and thought this is what I'm going to use this week. So we are going to use this. Now, by all means, you can use any sort of textured paper. You know, you can use anything. This doesn't have to be this kind of corrugated cardboard look, but we are just recycling some bits and pieces. So take off the plastic, we don't need this bit, and I'm okay if it rips because we're not using this side of it anyway. But today we are going to be creating one of those most classic looks in card making. I feel like it's one of the first layouts that I probably learnt or sort of really took notice of, and it just means that you can swap in and out textured pieces of paper. You can use embossing folders, you can use recycled materials, you can use anything that you get your hands on and sort of put different textures together. But anyhow, you'll see how it goes. I'm going to cut down a square. Now, measurements for this are a little bit easy-ozy as per usual. I'm going to create a square 5.5 by 5.5 inch card base, and so I just want all of my layers to layer up and be smaller than that. So I'm going to start off, I think I start off with like a 4.5 by 4.5 inch piece of this here, but honestly I think I end up cutting it up smaller later on, but it doesn't really matter. I don't worry too much. I can come back and trim things super easy later on. Now this is the Spellbinders trimmer and I absolutely love this one. It is cutting through this corrugated cardboard no problem at all, just gliding through. I do have the other sort of really big brand, I would say, of trimmer, and I much prefer this one. I got a new one just because I wasn't loving how smooth the handle was. I wasn't loving the stability of it. A couple of other bits and pieces, and so I shifted to this one and absolutely love it. It's now my main trimmer by far. Now, a gorgeous subscriber, lovely lady, sent these to me. They are just textured pieces of paper, and they have those sort of fibers within the paper, and so there's these little sheets. This is the size that she sent me, and I think there's a couple of each there, so this is fun to use, but I'm going to use the plain white one for today. So go through, see what you can find. I'm sure that you have some hoarded or hidden away in your stash, and this is a great time to bring them out. Again, for this almost like fabric-like texture of the paper, again, the trimmer goes through this smoothly and beautifully. It's very sharp, and the handle is just very smooth. So I really do recommend this trimmer. It's very precise, which I also love. I was having trouble with getting measurements off. Anyway, all good things. I'm putting all my layers over there to the left. I'm just gaining all my layers. I do want one color to be in this, and I tend to choose one color just to keep it less complicated. This is the Ocean Mist by Gina. Now, I often get asked about these storage pockets. These ones are from scrapbook.com. They often, like very often, have these on 50% or more off. So I will link these down below. They are so good. It's what I've shifted to storing all of my papers in. I do have some that I got from the warehouse stationery here in New Zealand. However, they have those little button closures. And so when I'm stacking them side by side and when I put them back in, they sort of get caught on those little buttons. So I'm shifting all over. Eventually, I won't get rid of the ones that I do have, but if I get new cardstocks, I'm shifting them into those nice smooth scrapbook.com ones, and as I said, at half price, they become a really affordable option for me. Now, I am choosing to use hearts for this, as I said, very traditional, very much the stock standard, but hearts are going to be great. Stars, you can choose whatever you like. They're all going to go well on here. You could even make your own heart. There's nothing to say that you need a die for this at all. I have my stacked honeybee ones, which I've had forever, and I absolutely love them. These common shapes are really handy for me to have in larger stacking die sets. I run this through with my die cutting machine, and then to give this a little bit of texture, I am going to use the Simon Says Stamp Stardust embossing folder. Now this one is gorgeous and I notice it is selling out very quick. It is sold out at the moment, but hopefully by the time this makes it onto YouTube, it will be back in stock. I will list it down below. It's just one of those generic sort of gorgeous images that can be used any time of year for any occasion, and that's what I really look for when I'm looking for products in my crafting stash. Now, this goes through obviously with the Ocean Mist cardstock. This is beautiful thick cardstock. It doesn't crack. You can see the the beautiful texture that we've got there. I want to enhance this a little bit, even though I think you can see it really well. It's always nice to bring it out even a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to use some white Dina Wakley is the paint that I happen to have, but any acrylic paint is going to work well. You could even use a white pigment ink pad. That's going to work as well. I really love the heavy bodied Dina Wakley paints. I cannot speak highly enough about these. These little bottles last me forever, but I just take a little makeup sponge and dab gently over the top of the raised portions, and you can see it just catching that texture. And I'm not looking to color it, I'm just looking to bring out what's already there a little bit more, make it a little bit more obvious. I mean, I wouldn't put it past you to be able to use like a little sanding disc and maybe sand it, but if you have cardstock that has a white core, that's probably going to work. You just want to give it a gentle sand because you don't want to, take too much away. Now, I was hunting through to find some mini sentiments, just like some really short, small, dainty little sentiments, and I found this one which says "Just for you." I wasn't sure if I was going to use the warm cocoa for the brown or the ocean mist, which would match the cardstock, and I happen to have the ocean mist that coordinates. Obviously the brown is, I just only have the one brown from Gina K, so I'm going to layer down the first blue layer just so that I can stamp where I want to go without the texture and thickness of the corrugated cardboard. And then I'm not sure, so I decided to just test them both out, stamp them in both colors and hold it next to it, and that way I can figure out which one I think is going to work a little bit better. I do the blue first, and I think that is really nice, but because it's going right beside the blue, I feel like maybe I'll use the warm cocoa color. And of course the Gina inks stamp beautifully. I had a couple of requests recently in my stash of videos on YouTube. I have gone over the VersaFine clear inks and the first sort of 12 or so that I would purchase if I were to do it all over again and be able to start again, my most used colors and the reasons for that. I've done the same for Distress Oxides, and if you are interested, let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like me to do the same for the Gina K inks, because I've got a bit of a handle on them now. I've got a grip of what I would purchase. For example, if I could only purchase 6 to begin with, or if I could only purchase 9 or 12, and I'll give you some recommendations and obviously some techniques that you can use them for. So let me know if you're keen on that video. I decided to pop a little bit of twine. This one here is from Kmart. It is just a twine with a little bit of like gold thread going through it. It was in the clearance section for $2, and I picked it up thinking it would actually be good for my kids and my kids' projects. They're always wanting twine and string, and then I ended up getting a second one because A, they were enjoying using it, but B, I saw how I could maybe use it in my crafting as well. So it has become very, very handy. I've got my little sentiment stamped, I've got my layers coming into place, and then I decided to do some white splatter. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So I really love this Dina Wakley. It's the only one I have actually. It's the gloss white spray, I think it is, but it stays nice and bright white when you pop it on colourful backgrounds, things that are water reactive, so dye inks or hybrid inks or those sorts of things, which are more often than not they are water reactive, and when you put this gorgeous bright white on it, it stays bright white, whereas a lot of inks and things, when you react the product underneath, it mixes with it and it becomes a, like if you put it on pink, it becomes a light pink colour, and I like things to stay bright white. Anyhow, I put on some of this splatter was what I was going for, and I must admit the splatter's got a bit big and a bit bold, and so things got out of control a little bit, but that's okay. I will admit that by the time I had done all of this, I was thinking that actually the splatters went a bit out of control and they didn't go to plan at all, so I wasn't sure. At this point, I think it's just a me thing. And then I showed it to my sister and she was like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. The card is stunning. What's the problem? And it reminded me that these are gorgeous handmade cards and they are not perfection, and that what I see is not what everybody else always sees. So, sometimes that's just a sign to keep going, and it's okay. I did use some of that warm cocoa ink and fix up a couple of the little splotches, but this is the card for today. So a super simple, very traditional go-to design, which you can mix and match for all the papers or bits and pieces that you may have in your card making stash. I hope you enjoyed this video. There are some pictures at the end as well, and if you would like to recreate your own, I would love to see them. So you can post the pictures over on my Facebook group, Come Crafting with Natasha, so come and join us. We have a large group of like-minded people there, and we would love to have you. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye!